It's Lexicanum, and welcome to my very first episode. As said in the title, for those of you who do not know, Alpha is the first letter in the Greek alphabet, and it can mean first or beginning. And it's basically A. A appears to be the first letter in many alphabets, such as English, Afrikaans, Phoenician, Hebrew, Greek, etc. Except for in Hebrew, you pronounce it as Aleph, which is where Aleph Nol gets its name from, and in Greek it's Alpha. A and B, which is the first two letters of many alphabets as well, is also where alphabet gets its name, except for in Greek, alpha and beta. Alphabet has two basic definitions according to merriam-webster.com. The first being a set of letters or characters with which one or more languages is written, especially if arranged in a customary order. And the second definition, a system of signals and signs which serve as equivalents for letters. Now it's quite obvious that both these definitions take both modern and ancient alphabets into account. But most of the words we utilize today are from ancient languages. So what's with the combination between languages? Why do we follow this simple pattern? It is a well-known fact that we as humans are a quite monotonous race that create and follow simple patterns. Our brains even take and remove from the data it collects just to make the pattern seem familiar, even if it doesn't exist. So is this how our language is destined to be? Just take a bunch of words from an antecedent language, slap them together, and bam, you have a new word. No, not quite. An act such as this is called protologism. Proto, meaning first in Greek, and logism, coming from logo or logo, meaning word in Greek. And this is also why it is important to know your primitive forms of words. Now, protologism is a newly formed word in hopes that it will become familiar. But there is, however, a difference between protologism and neugalism. Epstein explains it like this. Protologism is ontological. It is an example of the thing it describes. Every word in use started out as protologism, subsequently became neugalism, and gradually grew to be part of the language. Now, ontology is basically homology. Homo meaning one, and ology meaning the study of. Now don't get confused between ology, ological, and ologism. A homological word is a word that describes itself. A heterological word is just the opposite. But when we get to this point, the question is usually raised, is heterological homological or heterological? Let's for example say it's heterological. That means it does not describe itself. But if heterological is heterological, it does describe itself, and thus it must be homological. But then it doesn't describe itself, and so it's heterological, and so it continues. This effect is known as Nelson's paradox. But that still doesn't explain why we take words from ancient languages to form new ones. The answer to this is Alexander the Great. When Alexander the Great embarked his father's campaign to dominate the world in around 336 BCE, he said he wasn't just going to drain every country from its minerals and treasures. No, he wanted Greek to become the alpha language, to become global. And everywhere he proclaimed this archon, he succeeded in enforcing this language. Now, Greek in his time is basically English today. So we've been bested by English, but not English. English is the original English. It was spoken by the Angles, who were the main Germanic peoples who settled in Great Britain during the post-Roman period. By the time the Romans arrived, it was quite easy to claim domination because communication was at heart since everybody could speak Greek and they basically defeated everyone, except for Finland. They could never defeat Finland for some reason. But anyway, now the Romans spoke Latin. This is why you will find that most languages, when we take ancient languages to form new words, would either be Greek, Latin, or Hebrew. But Greek still reigns supreme. I mean, even letters in its alphabet is used as constants, such as phi, pi, psi, tau, epsilon, etc. Evidently, we don't dwell in the past, but rather make language easier. Enforcing this pattern in language makes it a lot more simpler than it appears to be. And language is just basically a form of communication through sounds and symbols. I mean, a formation of letters creates a word. A formation of words forms a sentence. And in the end, we are generating barbaric sounds which we respond to in a certain way, calling it communication. It is what keeps us evolving and sane. Our brains demand socialization. Without it, all our mechanizations would stop and we would not know what to do. So we're bound to language, something that we created. Until next time, salutation.